All right, man, peace. So, brothers, as we all know, aging is a very unfortunate part of life. It's going to happen to every last one of us. And in the sports world, athletes actually die twice. Their athletic career dies, and then they actually die later on in their lives. And we see them creep towards mortality on the football field, on the baseball diamond, in the boxing ring, and it happens incrementally. And then all of a sudden, they just fall off. In boxing, the great Muhammad Ali was known for being able to dance around the ring for 15 rounds. And then after his 3.5-year layoff, he had to take breaks in the middle of the round. And that led to him taking punishment that he did not have to take in the 1960s because he had great natural stamina and footwork. In the 70s, because he did not have the best defensive principles or fundamentals, he would get hit by fighters like Joe Frazier and Ken Norton and George Foreman, etc. In football, at one point in his career, Jerry Rice was the most dynamic game-breaking receiver in the NFL, despite the fact that he only ran about a 4.6. But he could stretch the field like no other wide receiver. He could break the game open like no other wide receiver. And after his injury, where Warren Sapp tore up his kneecap in the backfield, he came back and he was still a relatively good wide receiver, but he became relegated to crossing routes and intermediate patterns, where he would just catch a little button hook or a 10-yard out route, etc. In baseball, we've seen certain hitters like Ken Griffey Jr., who at one point could knock the baseball 450 feet to right field. After a while, because his bat speed slowed down, they would pop flies to second or pop flies to the right fielder or to the first baseman. In basketball, I think that we're starting to see LeBron James's mortality creep up on him. And it oftentimes starts at the defensive end, because that's where your reflexes and your foot movement are so integral. I remember when Michael Jordan first started to show age. It was incremental in the second three-peat with the Chicago Bulls, but you could see it at times where he would just beat his man baseline and dunk over the center in the first three-peat era. In the second three-peat era, he'd take 2 hard dribbles and just fade over his man. By the time he was with the Wizards, it was a bunch of pump fakes because he couldn't even jump over the defender anymore on his fadeaway. With LeBron James, he's still able to leap over his opponents, his defenders. He can still accelerate relatively well. He's in great physical condition. But I do see some age, and it always starts on defense. And it's been that way for a while now. Really, for like the last 4 or 5 years, LeBron has pretty much taken off on defense, and he's finally starting to get called out about it because he's trying to pass the buck to the young guys on the team, hoping that many of his plants in the mainstream liberal sports media will pick up on it and blame them for a lot of his defensive foibles. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
All right, guys, LeBron may be the king, but it certainly doesn't absolve him of criticism. A little defensive about his defense. Take a look at the quote right there. I mean, every time that team has the right, if they want to single me out defensively, come on with it. Hey, listen, come on with it. Every team has the right to be like, oh, Bron's over there. Hey, just come on with it. We'll see what happens. I really don't care.
Of course you don't care, because at the end of the day, you're going to fall back on the my legacy's already set argument. That's all you're going to do. If you play against the Houston Rockets and they constantly run pick and rolls to get you switched out on Chris Paul or James Harden, you're going to get roasted. Everybody knows that. But all you're going to say is, hey, I'm just a young kid from Akron. I never thought I was going to get here. I won 3 championships. I scored more points than Michael Jordan. I got more assists than so-and-so, and I got more rebounds than so-and-so. So, you know, it's okay. Maybe I'm not quite the defensive player that I once was, but I can still stop most of the guys in the league. That's all you're going to say, so just knock it off. They have you playing free safety. They're trying to hide you. You're playing the same defensive position right now that Larry Bird played in his last 5 years with the Celtics. So let's not try to act like you're still going to shut people down.
Our criticism doesn't bother me. I love to play the game, and my teammates know what I do for them.
Yeah, they know what you do for them, all right. You raise their damn blood pressure.
And that's all that matters.
LeBron's like one of these chicks. He's like... LeBron's like the wife of one of these dudes who's scared to come home after work because they're like, what am I going to have to deal with this bitch now? I'm going to walk through the door and she's going to claim something happened and she's going to be screaming on me for 20 minutes as soon as I walk in the door. That's LeBron James. He got them poor young boys, Brandon Ingram and Lonzo and Josh Hart, scared to come into the locker room because of what he going to blame them for next. Hey, how come you didn't guard my man out there? You're supposed to guard your man and my man. I'm the free safety. You know, I got you guys back.
You there, Stephen A?
I'm right here.
All right.
What's
You got an issue with those comments?
Oh, yes, I do. Number one, LeBron is lying.
Not the first time.
He does care. His criticism from his teammates is not all that matters. It's the criticism from the public as well. That's number one. Number two, he's being very, very slick with his quote.
As usual.
Now, I ain't knocking him for that. All right, if you slick, you're slick. It's all right. But here's how he's being slick. He's acting as if folks are saying he can't play defense. That is not what people are saying. What people are saying is that you've picked and chosen several occasions where you don't play defense.
I don't think that LeBron would deny that. I think that LeBron's contention is our defensive schematics are set up so that I don't have to play one-on-one defense anymore. So people who are watching me on the basketball floor just stand there and watch one of my teammates' guys drive past them and expecting me to help. I don't have to help unless I want to because I'm LeBron James. That's his point. His real point is that the viewers don't understand that the system is set up so that he only has to play offense. That's LeBron's point. And beyond that, if the opposing team wants me to guard one of their best players one-on-one, it don't really matter because I've already accomplished so much in the NBA that at the end of the game, even if we lose, I have something to fall back on.
And when you don't play defense, you then engage in histrionics, being all
LeBron's the master of the Matador D.
Demonstrative in pointing the finger at other people rather than yourself for things you are culpable for, not others. That's the issue. Nobody's questioning the abilities of LeBron James. We know what he can do, even in his 17th year in the league. 3-time league champion, 4-time league MVP, 8 straight finals, 9 overall. There is nobody with sense who can question the greatness of LeBron James. What we have been questioning is the will. Because
Well, I'm not quite sure if it's fair to question his will either. Now, if you want to say that you want to question the verve that he shows on defense according to your sensibilities and what you want to see, I mean, we've been watching this for the last 5 years right now. This is how he's played defense the last 5 years or so. So it's really nothing new.
Defensively, at times, he doesn't appear to have it. And even that is okay because of the reasons that Max has articulated on several occasions, where you've been in the league this long, and as a result, you know you can afford to take some plays off because
every player in the league loves seeing LeBron switch out on him. It's like a Highway 23.
Because you know what your responsibilities are offensively. That's totally understandable. It makes sense. The problem is when you know that an assignment is yours, when you have elected to take plays off, and then in front of thousands of people in attendance and millions of people watching, you are demonstrably pointing the finger at your teammates.
Because Stephen A. Smith, hello, LeBron stated this earlier in the season. Remember when he said, these young guys in here complaining about being tired? He said, when I was their age, I never got tired. That was his way of saying, you guys are going to have to pick up the slack on defense. It's already been agreed upon in their defensive schematics that the other 4 defenders for the Lakers are going to have to make up for what LeBron lacks on defense because he's going to be expected to lead the team on offense. I promise you, that's what's been agreed upon already. It's obvious. Why do you think he's so brazen and pointing the finger at everybody else for their alleged defensive faux pas? Because it's already been agreed that they have to make up for where he lacks on defense. LeBron don't feel like playing defense anymore, Stephen A. Smith. Ever since the NBA jobbed him out of that Defensive Player of the Year award in 2013, LeBron said, bump that. I'm not even playing defense anymore because they ain't going to give me the award.
As if it's on them, not you. It's a problem. And why is it a problem? Because of what Kevin Durant said earlier in the season, playing with him, the expectations that come with it, media members and others fawning all over him. He can do no wrong, so it must be somebody else's fault.
That's part of it.
Combined with players naturally feeling that way because others have alluded to it as well. As a result, it puts him basically in the position of a bully pulpit to some degree, where you're able to point the finger at other people and there's little to nothing that they can do because they don't have the cachet or the credentials to dare question LeBron James, let alone speak out against him.
And LeBron can afford to sully the reputation of many of his younger teammates because for the most part, he knows that he has so many plants in liberal sports media, they're going to give him a pass. But once again, I promise you, they already know, when I say they, I'm talking about his younger teammates, that they're going to have to guard his man. They're going to have to help guard LeBron's man.
departed from Cleveland, had established himself as a champion at the time, and still couldn't be but so forthcoming about what turned him off. So that is the issue with
Right, but you guys know what it was that turned Kyrie Irving off. It's just that you're not at liberty to say so on national television exactly what caused that major fissure between LeBron James and Kyrie. But I'm pretty sure that it does not have to do strictly with basketball.
With LeBron James, not his abilities, and it's for the most part not even his will.
So then you shouldn't have mentioned it in the first place then. Because when you first said will, I said that's not really fair. Because LeBron James's will is always to win. He might not go about it the right way. We know that he loves to stat pad. But he also needs to win because he's chasing Jordan. So we know what that means. He has to put up at the very least the appearance of somebody who wants to win. He might not have the best team basketball IQ, but when it comes to individual basketball IQ, he's up there with anybody who's ever played. So that's the real issue with LeBron. He's a spoiled brat. He's been told that he's perfect throughout his entire basketball life. So it's difficult to change him now. You pretty much just have to deal with him.
It's just a willingness to point the finger at other people publicly. That is what this is about. Not what he's trying to make it about, people questioning his ability, because nobody with sense would question his ability. But that...
Well, hey, let me say this. Maybe he's hiding something. Maybe he's protesting so much because deep down he's starting to question his own defensive abilities. Maybe he feels insecure about that.
That's the trade-off you make as you become an aging superstar still capable of winning championships. One of the reasons I think Michael Jordan walked away and then walked away again is because Jordan played 82 games a season, 40 minutes a game, through the playoffs, both ends of the floor, every play, right?
Well, if you let Skip Bayless tell it, the reason why Jordan left the game the first time is because the NBA forced him out. How true that is or not, who knows? But I do know this. Michael Jordan, quiet as kept, he actually wanted to retire after the first championship. He wanted to retire after the first championship and go play baseball. But he was convinced to come back. Both he and his father wanted to leave basketball after 1991 and go try baseball. But he was convinced by many people in the Chicago Bulls organization, maybe even the commissioner, to come back and continue to play. And if I remember correctly, Jordan really wanted to retire after 1990. He was so frustrated with not winning a championship. And they convinced him to stay around and just to see it all through. Phil Jackson convinced him to stay around and see the team through to the fruition of what they had been working on for the previous 3 years. Jordan agreed. He came back much stronger and they finally were able to get over the hump. But I know for a fact he wanted to retire after the first championship because he was done with basketball, at least in his mind, after the first championship, and he was going to go try to conquer baseball. They convinced him to stay for another 2 years. He won the three-peat, and then he left for whatever reason. Came back, played 82, 82, 82, and he wanted to keep playing again, but Jerry Krause and Jerry Reinsdorf wanted his handler, Phil Jackson, out of the picture.
That's because he's the greatest ever and he was superhuman. But even he had to be like, whoa, I need a break. And then eventually walked away before he came back for the Wizards. Doesn't even count because he was spent. But guys like Kobe, well, LeBron first, but Kobe before him, who just play season after season after season after season, have to pace themselves. You simply can't play every game 40 minutes a game, both ends of the floor, and still be a great player without your body falling apart, and still be a great player given the number of minutes LeBron James has on those legs, the miles LeBron James has on those legs already. So one of the issues, Kobe faced it too, as you age, is you can no longer lead by example on defense when your team needs you offensively. You have to take plays off, and yet you still have to lead, and that doesn't rub everyone the right way. So Kobe had meta, right? In that second run, he had meta. So Ron Artest back then, meta world peace. So that dude is going to play defense on every play, and he can be the enforcer, and he can be the kind of captain of the defense. In fact,
and beyond that, Derek Fisher is going to play defense on every play as well. So Kobe was fortunate to have other players who enjoy playing defense. LeBron James also has other players that enjoy playing defense. The difference is that the NBA today is so offensively geared, it's extremely difficult to stop anybody anymore.
In fact, when Kobe got Dwight Howard over in LA, and it was kind of a disaster, but going into it, Dwight Howard...
It was a disaster because Kobe wanted it to be a disaster. Kobe wanted to break Dwight Howard down. First, to show him that I'm the boss of LA, I always will be the boss of LA, and you'll get the keys when I feel like handing them to you. That's why their relationship never worked. On top of that, Dwight just was not built to be a winner.
Howard wanted to be the focal point of the offense. It wasn't working.
But I will say this. Had Dwight Howard had the right tutelage, you never know how far he could have went. Because at the end of the day, even though Dwight Howard's name is besmirched for a myriad of reasons, most of them being his fault, he still was able to lead his team to an NBA Finals appearance in 2009 in a season where the Celtics were without Kevin Garnett because he was injured. So who knows how different that series turns out in 2009 if Kevin Garnett, were healthy. So that's something certainly to consider. But Dwight Howard, he's kind of a conundrum when he's considered because people forget how great he was. Dwight Howard was considered either the second or third best player, arguably, in the NBA for about a 5-year stretch from about 2007 to about 2012.
And Kobe had to tell him, look, you're just not that kind of offensive player. But you know what? At this point in my career, I can't be that kind of defensive player. I'm the captain of the offense. You're the captain of the defense. The problem with LeBron is, who's the captain of the defense? If he had a Draymond Green on the team, Stephen A., this would work much better. He simply doesn't. Who is that guy on the Lakers to take that responsibility? A veteran with the energy and the kind of authority and leadership to do it.
There's no need to look for a veteran on the Lakers who could back up LeBron James. You know why there's no need to do that? Because LeBron James didn't do that before he decided to sign. At no point did LeBron James look at their roster and he had the list of players on the team and say to himself, I'm not going to sign here because there's not another veteran to back me up defensively. He looked at the roster and said, okay, let's see what we could do with this. You know why? Because the reason why he came to LA had nothing to do with basketball. It had nothing to do with that. It was occultic and it was ritualistic and it was also economic. But just getting back to the Dwight Howard point, once again, at one time, Dwight was bubbling as a top 3 player, maybe even top 2 depending on your list, certainly top 5, because in that era from the late 2000s to the early 2010s, you had LeBron, you had Kobe, you had D. Wade, you had Tim Duncan, you had Carmelo, you had CP3, you had Dwight Howard. Paul Pierce was still kind of, sort of, in that top 10 area. KG was in that top 10 area, just because of his defense. But yeah, Dwight Howard, didn't he win like 4 straight Defensive Player of the Year awards, or 3 straight, something like that? I think Ben Wallace won 4 straight, so I think Dwight Howard may have won 3 straight. But he was an incredible player for about a 5-year stretch.
Doesn't exist. So the young kids are looking at LeBron like, yo, don't point at me. You're not doing it either. And this is what happened to Kobe too. It happens at this stage in their careers. That's why the Lakers must have that kind of guy on the team. They simply don't right now.
Yeah, Max, you're absolutely right. But that's not the point. The point is, what LeBron is saying is he's talking as if people are questioning his defensive ability. 5-time all-first-team defensive player in his career. We know that he has the ability to lock somebody down at key pivotal moments of the game. I saw him do it the other night against New Orleans. We know what he can bring to the table. He's the one that had to go about the business of guarding Julius Randle because Julius Randle was busy bullying everybody else on the Lakers in his path.
Julius Randle's a beast. And just go to show you once again with Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis had pieces to work with. But I'm not mad at Anthony for this reason. Because I understand, and I think that he understands, that he's not a leader. He's not an alpha. So I actually think that he's going to fit in relatively well with LeBron James. Should he get there?
And to some degree, on a couple of plays, he bullied LeBron. So this is a guy that I would have liked to have still seen on the Los Angeles Lakers because I like the fire in his belly, which I think some of those other dudes are lacking. Having said...
honestly, just thinking about it, you look at a healthy Elfrid Payton. A healthy Elfrid Payton is commensurate with Rajon Rondo, at the very least, in my opinion. Then you have a Drew Holiday, one of the certainly top 10 two-way players in the NBA, if not top 5. You had a Nikola Mirotic before he got traded. You had a Julius Randle, who plays bully ball and who can score out to 15 feet, maybe even 20 feet. And you can't do nothing with that, and you're Anthony Davis? That's how you know the fix was in, because they were talking that shit even before the season started when Anthony Davis was sitting down at the dais at the podium trying to act like he was a team player.
Said all of that. The problem with LeBron, as it pertains to the Lakers, is really the same problem that has plagued LeBron James in the eyes of critics throughout his career.
That being that he's full of shit.
It's no one questioning his ability. This is what I mean when I say he's trying to change the narrative. No one questions his ability. We know what he can do. The problem is is that on rare occasions, when he's not willing to do it, he points the finger at somebody else. And there's no recourse for them. They can't come back at LeBron James.
That's
What
right.
are they
You know
going to
why?
say to him? So they got to
what they can do is play defense.
We know why, because they're inferior to him. Wait a minute, Max. But this is my point. It doesn't matter. If I'm superior to you, but you have a responsibility, and I have a responsibility, and I ignore my responsibility.
Well, once again, it's alleged that LeBron is ignoring his responsibilities. It's alleged. Maybe, once again, maybe the game plan defensively is LeBron just stand in the paint and just hope for the best. We're going to let you rest on defense, and then we'll let you run the show on offense. I'm pretty sure that we're going to find out from Luke Walton after the season, once he gets fired, exactly what the game plan was with LeBron.
And then I put it on you, even though I might be in an authoritative position. I am wrong, Max. I can't. That's not right.
Hold up.
And that's what he does. That's what he does.
When these dudes, run out of sorry offense, right? And LeBron has to pick up the slack, right? Does he want a pat on the back? He just picks up the slack because they don't have another great offensive player.
Did you just ask the question? Did you just ask the question?
It's so funny. And I say this all the time, and this is how you know that there's something rotten in Denmark with LeBron James and his decision making when it comes to what team he decides to play for. You're LeBron James. Supposedly you want to catch Jordan. I understand you can't go to a stacked team at this point in your career and with the accolades that you've achieved because you know how it's going to look. But there are other teams who are one player away from being considered a serious championship contender. And not only do you not give them a serious look, but you go to a team filled with neophytes and nobody really understands why. And then you create this energy, which is toxic. And now even you've admitted to it that you like to promote toxicity by claiming that you like to feel uncomfortable. What does that really mean? You're saying that you like to promote toxicity in your atmosphere, especially in your basketball locker room. Now, as I've stated in other videos, when somebody says that they like to be uncomfortable, that's not always a bad thing. Sometimes they're just saying that they want to push the envelope. They want to, as LeBron would say, strive for greatness. But at the same time, if you're going out of your way to create chaos where there is none, if you're trying to purposefully provoke people, that can wear on your teammates. That can break them down as much as build them up, even more than build them up, especially if they're not prepared for whatever your tactics are. So LeBron James is certainly a complex case, at least for those people who don't understand what they're looking at.
Question, does he want a pat on his back? Did you just ask the question, does he want a pat on his back? Because in my estimation, Max, tell me when does LeBron James not get a pat on his back? Universally. Everywhere he goes.
The point
everywhere
is,
he goes.
He picks up.
Especially for Max Kellerman.
What are you talking about?
He picks up the slack on offense for his teammates. His teammates can pick up the slack on defense. He's saying, look, when we really need a stop, I'll be there.
And I believe that's the game plan.
In the meantime, I can't do it every possession and still be a great player at my age. Can you guys do something?
But who's disagreeing with that?
Well, you kind of are, Stephen A. You kind of are, brother.
But who's disagreeing with that?
So
Nobody's arguing with that. But the point is, but you calling cats out publicly, Max, and then wonder why there's a problem with the team.
Because, Steve, basically what LeBron is saying is that we agreed that I'm just going to stand there and you guys are going to guard your man. And then if my man were to get past me, you'd help me with that shit. And I'll take over on offense because most of y'all can't shoot. So that's why LeBron is calling him out publicly. I don't agree with that, but that's why he's doing it, because he's pissed off and he knows it's going to look bad on him. Right now, there are no other superstars on the team. And because Brandon Ingram is playing so well offensively, as is Kyle Kuzma, the veil is starting to come off of that media narrative. People are starting to shun the notion that LeBron James is carrying his teammates. So he knows now that if the sports highlight shows are starting to focus on his alleged mistakes on defense, he has to do something to cover himself.
I'm not saying he's doing it perfectly, but if these guys won't play defense, what do you want them to do? At a certain point, they got to do it.
Max, yes or no?
I have to check the defensive ratings to figure out exactly who's playing defense and who's not, but I don't think that that's truly the answer. I don't think that that's going to reveal anything, because once again, those young guys are expected to guard 1.5 men, their own man and half of LeBron James's guy.
No answer.
Yep.
Is LeBron an all-NBA defender anymore?
No, he's not.
No.
Thank you. All right, we will leave it there. Lakers take
But anyway, that's basically it on that. I think that Molly Karen was she was trying to play LeBron a little bit there with that last question. So we'll see what happens over the course of this season. I guarantee you this, the Lakers will not make the playoffs if they continue to run that same defense with LeBron James allowed to do nothing. I don't think that they're going to make the playoffs, period, right now. As of right now, I'm making this video coming off of their loss to Milwaukee. I'm not quite sure if they're going to make it. If I had to bet, if I had to put money down, I would say no. But if they were to still make it, would I be surprised? No, because they have LeBron James, and they also have a commissioner who understands the importance of having LeBron James in the playoffs. The only thing is that right now, I think they're looking at the standings and they're saying to themselves, do we really want LeBron in the playoffs in the first round against Golden State? Unless we could find a way to get Denver to the number 1 seed, Golden State to the number 2 seed, then we get the Lakers to the 8th seed, and we can have LeBron maybe go on a magic carpet ride where he could lead a number 8 seeded team against Denver, beat them in the first round, and then from there we'll just let the chips fall where they may. So that might be the game plan. We'll see. But anyway, peace.